Hey guys, it's Nean here, bringing you the first of two Protoss versus Zergs. Episodes 7 and 8 are both going to be Protoss versus Zerg. And this one, we start with Heads Crusher on, I think this was Entombed, no. I made a mental note to remember the name of this map, but nope, forgotten it. It's one that I don't play on that often. I'm not quite sure why, because I quite like this map. Mainly because it has a good sort of apron here for drops, which can easily run in, because it's quite easy to forget about defending that. But Zerg player, Heads Crusher, spawning in the bottom left spawn area, and I am spawning as a blue Protoss up in the top right, so it's cross spawns, and we are both in the process of droning up. We're both getting our supply extenders, really. Pylon for me, Overlord for him or her. Let's not forget the female StarCraft 2 community, especially given that Scarlet has recently won through into the WCS World Championship. And I am about to put up my gateway at 12, whilst the Zerg continues to drone up to 13, 14 and 15. Not gateway, Forge. I forget that I do Forge first. Forge, well, not fast expand, but Forge expand. So it's not going to be that early a pool. Probably going to end up settling down into quite a macro-based game instead of just Zerg rushing, and if that fails, transition into Banelings. And if that fails, transition into Muters, and then when that fails, leave the game. But Forge going down for me, just to provide a couple of cannons and a partial wall in the event of a Zerg rush. But I don't think that that will be the case in this game, judging from the time remaining on the clock. And if you are watching this, then you will probably be seeing my new logo, which pre-2905 one of my friends has kindly made for me, replacing the default YouTube grey person thing. But spawning pool finally going down for Heads Crusher, as well as Natural being taken nice and early, as well as a couple more drones, and I am pyloning and expanding as well down here. So both taking fairly early expansions. He's way ahead of me in supply, because that's what happens normally with Zerg, because they can just, if they've got good enough macro, they can just keep pumping out those drones and overlords for pretty much ever. But fairly early expand, providing me with quite a lot of minerals and gas to go up to, probably a lot of stalkers, given that seems to be my favourite sort of build. Just go heavy stalker blink with 3/3 upgrades and just roll in and kill him. But that's not always the case. I can't actually remember what happens in this game, given that I casted them both on Monday the 27th on the night. Casted both episodes 7 and 8, and then woke up on the Tuesday morning and found out that they had no microphone audio, because I'd accidentally muted my mic. So that left me quite annoyed, and I'm having to completely recast them. So quite a big annoyance there. But Gateway finally going down for me at 17, as well as Roach Warren and a Spine going down for Heads Crusher. There's the Roach Warren providing a nice wall off there, and a Spine to protect there, so I can't bring any Zealots in round this way. And four Lings just sitting down here in case I do decide to bring a Zealot in or something. But since my Gateway isn't even up yet, that's not really a problem. Two cannons defending both of the chokes, and second gateway, so 2 gates right off the bat, and I've got enough to put down a cyber core straight away. But I don't think I'd put a cyber core down immediately, because I'm focusing on getting the expansion up and fully mined, and as well as getting double gas up here, because I always find it's good to have gas before cyber core, because that means you're able to start up warp gates as soon as it comes out. and chronoing the natural nexus. And our Zerg player has taken both of the gases, so presumably going to go up into quite large roach tech, because roaches take up quite a bit of gas. How much gas is it? Doesn't say. I need lava. Select lava. There we go, 25 gas each. And so when you're going for a lot of roaches, it takes up a lot of gas. So you need that income, especially if you're going for upgrades as well as various other things. Fully saturating those guys as well as gaining the third extractor and plonking down a couple more spine crawlers as a defense. So quite a sizable number of Zerglings, 12 on the map at the moment. Strangely not going for an attack, but I suppose it's quite wise in a way, because he'd probably be thinking that by now I would have got a fairly good defense up, and finally getting my cyber core underway, as well as level 1 weapons, and I think I should be starting Warp Gate anytime soon. Yep, there's Warp Gate research, as well as a Twilight Cancel going down, so I can get Blink, and Lair going down for our Zerg friend, as well as 2 Overlords, because he's supply blocked himself. And droning up quite significantly, because, well, Zerg, they can macro. Zerg is basically one of the most macro-orientated races. Then Terran's probably the most micro-orientated, and Protoss is probably somewhere in the middle of that, because you get quite a lot of units, and yet they cost a lot, so you need a good macro base to get that in. But level 1 weapons, as well as Zealot charge, because I've not actually got any Stalkers out on the field yet. Warp Gate research about halfway done, probably about a third of the way done, yeah, about a third of the way there. Still not pumping out drones at the moment, though I probably should be. Getting quite a lot of gas. I've actually built up quite a few minerals in the bank. And Warlock completed with the Nexus, which just means that they have a bit more distance to cover rather than just being able to kite the cannon down this lane or down that lane. Which, when you've got a mass load of Zerglings, it's pretty easy. You'll only lose 1 or 2, and it will probably mean that you can just rush straight up into the the main, and do some quite significant damage. I think that is one of the things that happens in episode 8, but I may be wrong, given that I can't really remember what happens in which game. But for our Zerg player, we are getting Evo Chamber and a Spire. There's the Spire, and there's the Evo Chamber, fully sealing off the mineral line over here, making it exceedingly hard for me to do any form of harassment with Zealots. Stalkers could possibly just get around behind and start picking off probes, but there's also a Queen there to stop it, as well as a macro hatch going down. So injects are being hit, I think. 14 lava, and he's actually ahead in army at the moment. But there's missile attacks coming, so presumably I think that helps roaches and hydras, I think. But Zealot's going in, getting a scout. 1 Zealot goes down, and second should go down. Second Zealot goes down. That Zealot holds off the Lings, and this Zealot gets a good look at what's happening, but will get taken out fairly rapidly, unless he gets out of the way of the spine crawler, which he does. But they're not actually, he's not actually trying to produce anything, and there's some roaches which will come in and just take out that Zealot. So armor level 1 coming down as well. So getting upgrades nice and early, because early upgrades mean that you have a significant advantage in any early game engagement. So starting to warp in Stalkers, Sentry, Zealot, and then getting another gateway, bringing it up to 4, I think. Yeah, 4, distributed quite liberally around the natural and main. Building up quite a few minerals, more than I'd like to, because I like to keep my money as low as possible, and flyer attacks as well by the looks of it, so possibly looking towards mutalisks, and a small roach task force moving out, presumably to try and scout out where things are, but warping in stalkers and zealots, just to try and counter any sort of like muta or roach-based, ling-based force that comes my way. Because I know he's got roaches, I know he's got lings. I know he's got a spire, so I know that he can produce mutas pretty easily now. Not getting any upgrades, any other upgrades apart from missile and flyer by the looks of it. I'm getting a Stargate just so that I can probably poke about with a bit with some Phoenices. Again, plural of Phoenix. I like to call them Phoenices for some reason. But starting to settle down into the mid-game. Blink not yet being researched, which is a tiny bit surprising given that Blink's almost always one of the first upgrades I get. But the I think that's the 5th gateway pops out. Should transform into a warp gate, taking me up to 5. And spores going down for the Zerg. And there is ground level 2 for me, as well as the Zerg just continually pumping out roaches and lings, as well as overlords, giving him a good supply cap. However, I need to start spawning in pylons soon or I'll start to be supply blocked. So Stargate comes up for me, and I think I'll start producing Phoenixes if I know myself correctly. I also forgot that I hid my robo facility to the back, and given that I know he's got roaches, I decided to pump out a couple of immortals. Mainly because immortals are excellent against roaches, and also pumping out another forge by the looks of it. I'm not quite sure where I hid that. Ah, yes. I forgot that I took a third, and also I didn't look at the production tab, which is a bit silly of me. But forge coming out, third being captured before the main is fully mined out, because it's getting quite low, 460 remaining. So, still a good like 3-4 minutes worth of resources on these, but it's always nice to have a third as a spare, and getting ground armor too as well, because roaches, they can hit quite hard if there's enough of them, and you want to have as good a sort of opportunity engagement against them, even if you've not got a good angle. So almost supply blocked, but starting to pump out about, I think that's 5 pylons, yes. 5 pylons, which is 40 supply, I think, because 5 times 8. So, one Phoenix pops out, starts charging up some energy, and another Phoenix pops out as well as an Immortal, so that's 2 Immortals. 2 Immortals at plus 2 attack, I think, can almost one-shot a roach, but I don't know. So missile and flyer attacks coming up, as well as tunneling claws, which I think is allows for roach movement underground. Yeah, enables roaches to move while burrowed. So presumably burrow has also been researched at some point. Need to find some roaches to check it out. No, burrow hasn't yet been researched, but presumably it will be in due course. Lava about to start popping off all 3 bases, I think. Yeah, lava coming off all 3 bases, and I've got 2 Phoenixes waiting there for my next command. But 1-1 almost there. Blink started, and we have burrow on the way, so that should be some burrowed roaches, which can really quickly come back to full health underground. Not quite sure why they should regenerate health any quicker underground, but I don't make the game. Blizz does that. So Blink coming on quite nicely. I'm actually not spending that much energy on chronos, which I probably could be getting level 3 weapons and level 3 armor when level 2 finishes. But bringing some more probes down, starting to move out slightly with my Stalker Zealot Mortal Force, and a pack of roaches and an overseer waiting there to defend the newly claimed third, from any of my attacks. And we've got 16 Hydras in production, so presumably he is expecting an aerial attack, because we've got a Spore Crawler down there. We haven't got one at the natural, and we haven't got one at the third yet, but with 16 Hydras it's a pretty good indication that he's expecting, yeah, we've got one there as well, but it's a pretty good expectation that there's going to be an aerial attack. So Hydras are good against air. I think he might be thinking that I'm going to Void Ray him at some point in the future, because it's about 17-18 minute mark. That's when someone tends to move out with Void Rays. And I see the Roach Force, I aggro it, and the Immortals begin to do their work. Starting to tear through, put health bars on. I think he's lost 2, maybe 3, and a lot of Hydras here, as well as quite a few Roaches. And I pop a Guardian Shield just to make sure that my units have an even better chance of surviving, as well as having 2-2. So I start on 3-3 as well. I realise that this battle's lost, and so start to move out now. 4 kills on one Immortal, 1 kill on another, and fairly good kill distribution on my Stalkers. Try to, well, not really step, but just hold off the big attack. Managed to take out a few more Roaches before my forces fully crushed. They've got 2 attack. I blink 1 Stalker away. That 1 Stalker is all that remains of the fighting force that was down there. But 3-3 on the way. 5 Stalkers as well, getting warped in case he decides to do a counter, as well as having 2 Immortals at the natural. So, just in case he decides to do anything, I've got a sufficient force at my base. These 2 Phoenixes just hanging out, and not doing particularly much other than surveying the mass of everything. But he's obviously seen them, so he sends in some Hydras to clean them out. And they go down pretty easily, because Hydras with +2 weapon do quite a lot. So these Roaches just sitting here at the tower, not doing much, because the main path of attack isn't actually up by that tower, it's down by that tower, down this path, I think. But they've now burrowed and are moving out. There's 1 left behind to check for any activity. But do I have an Overseer? Not yet. However, I do have a Photon Cannon, which will allow me to see those burrowed Roaches once they come in range. The question is, when will that range be? A nice drone transfer, pretty well timed before the Roach attack, and pending on another 4 gateways down there at my third, and my Immortal Stalker and Photon Cannon doing quick work of the Roaches as they try to get past my line of attack. Greater Spire going down, so presumably we're going to see Broodlords at some point in time. Still got quite a few Hydras, 7 Muters, not seeing any Corruptors yet, which is a bit surprising, because you could easily get a couple of Corruptors now, and then whilst Great Spire's morphing, get them to get them somewhere where they can easily morph into Broods. 3-3 almost done, so probably start on shields up after that. But I think that's 4 gates, 8 gates, 9 gates, so At the moment, doing pretty well. My main is pretty much mined out. I've only just got 6 probes left on minerals to just finish those off, and naturals beginning to get mined out on some of the closer patches. And what was that chrono on? Was that on? I don't actually know what that chrono was on. Oh, it was on the robo facility, so I can get an observer out to check that he's not burrowing anything. Because the last thing that you want is a couple of burrowed infestors coming into your natural and just throwing infested terrans everywhere, because that makes one almighty problem. So getting 2 more pylons, 2 more gateways. Once the probe decides to, there we go, 2 pylons, 2 gateways on the way, taking me up to 11 gateways, which is 22 supply per production cycle, which is 1 stalker, cooldown 32 seconds. So that's 22 stalkers a minute, 44 supply a minute. So I can max out my supply in roughly 2 minutes, which is pretty alarming if it ever comes to a counterattack. I could, of course, append even more gateways on, but then I would start to dip a tiny bit into the trust fund that I've managed to accumulate, as well as having 2 mining bases and the main, just nothing happening there. Actually now going for Colossus, building Robotics Bay, so if there's a massive clumped up army, I can deal with that, especially if there's a ton of Lings trying to swamp my Zealots, which I don't know if I have any in that composition. I don't think I do. But if there's any Zealots in the composition... no, that's just a ton more Stalkers. So, up to about 50 off my supply cap. In fact, exactly 50 off my supply cap. He's still ahead in supply. We go to the Units tab, or the Army supply tab. We're actually pretty much even on the mineral and gas count. However, he's got more units than me, which is because Zerg units, they're not quite as powerful, yet they don't have the same they don't have the same sort of cost. But Zergling speed, I think that is, as well as missile attacks level 3, making those making all those. Oh, we've got a tiny bit of Ling harassment in the natural, which I didn't pick up on, but quickly thwarted. Started to hide Lings in all the other expansions to make sure that I can't expand to any of those. Burrowing them, so I can't see, so I can't claim a 4th unless I go up to the top here, in which case he can bring the roach down to kill a probe, because he'll be able to see it come across. Strangely, he doesn't have anything on that Zelnaga tower, but Overlord there, spotting an expansion there. And this expansion, 2 spines to protect it, as well as a nice big army which can easily run down. Strange that he's not put any creep there to get easy access from the natural to the 3rd. But then an army of swarm of Mutalisks, I suppose is the correct term, is making its way up the side of the map to try and just harass a bit. I decided to put pylons up on the high ground behind the 3rd, just to make sure that I can see if there's any drops there, because if you're playing Terran, it's quite a handy place for the Terran to drop some siege tanks down there and just rain death upon the expansion. So I quite often like to have a bit of security, and it also brings me up to 200 supply, so I can fully max out now. And the Mutalisks are just going to sit there for a bit, just doing nothing, whilst I gain Colossus with, I think, extended thermal lances on the way, as well as another Colossus and Templar archives, so that I can get high Templar if I need. But I don't think I will, because I don't usually feel the need to get high Templar. However, they have been pretty useful when I've been going up against Mass Bio in Terran matchups. So shields level 1 have finished up, and starting shields 2, and just waiting for the final engagement. I see a stream of Zerglings with that one Stalker that I've sent to that Zelnaga tower. And they will come into my natural from the from very sneakily, and I won't actually see them until they're right in my probe line, as well as he brings the Mutalisks in at the same time. And what do? I blink my Stalkers in. Because that's the best method of doing it. If we go to Units Lost tab, he's actually managed to kill 2 of my workers. However, I've managed to kill 61 of his, as well as most of his Muters, which are quite expensive if I recall correctly. But he decided to start taking out that pylon. Those 2 Stalkers unknowingly trapped in that gap where a pylon could have been. But I decided not to do anything about it for the time being, until I send a nice big squad of 12 Stalkers down to deal with it. Or rather up, because it's high ground. Blink them forward slightly, I think I just heard the sound effect, just so they get there quicker. And the Muters are going to die. Even with their level 3 attacks. But I'm pretty much maxed out. I can only squeeze 2 more Stalkers out. I can't even squeeze... I think I might... A Immortal 6 or 8 supply. Oh no, they're 4 supply, so I could probably squeeze out another Immortal, but I don't think I will. I think I might just go for the Jugular now at 313, soon to be 323, and as well as Overseer speed, because I've got money, I might as well spend on upgrades. And another cannon going down just there, just to defend the natural partially, and to prevent any flyer attacks from coming up down behind the natural. So, shields level 2 should be popping out in about 80 in-game seconds, but my Mass Stalker Colossus Immortal Force beginning to push out down the centre of the map. This burrowed Zergling won't see them, I don't think. I know it won't have, because they have a smaller range when they're burrowed. Follow the Colossus, because why not? And I'll toggle on some health bars. Wait a tiny bit for my observer to catch up, and then push in, because if he has any burrowed banelings, I want to be able to take them out from a distance. And he has a lot of corruptors, and I blink up onto the high ground too, and I get a pretty good surround down the sides as well. And see how many kills these colossi get. This one's on 3 at the moment, 4, and that's about to go down. So if I switch the other one, just on 1. Spine Core is taking out some of my Stalkers, and that Colossus is about to go down thanks to the Corruptors. Beginning to get a good surround on the base, as well as taking out... There's quite a few roaches down there, so the Immortal begins just shooting at stuff. It can take out half a roach's armor in one shot, which is pretty good. And it won't actually get taken out. It's on 9 kills already, whereas that one's on 1. My Stalker's just working through the Corruptors and the Overseers and Queens, and nothing happening at the 3rd yet, just continuing to gain minerals. I leave my army down there for no apparent reason. Take out his natural, take out the Overseer, start taking out larvae and the broodlings, as well as a few drones that try to escape. But I have destroyed most of his immediate force. He's still getting upgrades. As well, there's the broodlords, and as well as 19 roaches and 4 hydras, which have been which are being produced thanks to the macro hatch, and the hive. I think that is hive. But the broodlord will be cleverly hidden if it's not just destroyed before it can morph. which I think it might actually. There we go, Broodlord, no more Broodlord. But 3 roaches in production now. Hydra's going down. Immortal's on quite a few kills. Takes out the Spore Crawler. Beginning to work down the macro hatch, as well as the Hydra Den, I think that is. Yeah, that's a Hydra Den. Take out quite a few of the Immortals to try and just edge up the supply a bit, as well as let me target things down more effectively. I think that was the Roach Den. No, that was might have been another tech structure, which I can't remember. And we've got 5 Corruptors in production, yeah, down here. So presumably he's going to try and get some more Broodlords to try and put a stop to this. But I move back a tiny bit from the Spine Crawler. And I can now get a good surround on the Roach Den, Roach Warren, as well as the Hive, which goes down. And a load of Broodlings come out, which pretty easy to crush with this number of units. If I go to units lost tab, 179 to 67, but the resources showing how much more expensive Zerg units are than Protoss units. And then start taking out the other tech structures like Spawning Pool, so no more Lings, as well as the Spire, which is so close to getting Flyer Attacks 3, but it won't quite get it. And 5 Broodlords in production, but I don't think that that will be enough to stop this army. Begin taking out the Extractors, because if he decides not to quit, it'll be important to get all his tech structures. I pump out a load more Stalkers up at my base and begin to take them down to the 3rd. And then these will be redirected to the 3rd as well. Getting a couple of Broodlings, and then the Queen shall get taken out, even though it has pretty good attacks. And level 2 armor. Spawning Pool, and then there's the lair to try and get things out. And there's my main force coming in. See if we can select the Broodlords. There we go. Stalker's actually focusing down the Broodlings more than the Broodlords, but 1 goes down, 2 go down, and the lair's about to fall. 3 go down, and the last Broodlord to go down there, and then the lair goes down, and the game finishes. So that was the first of 2 Zerg vs Protoss. Episode 8 is another Zerg vs Protoss. I was able to record them pretty much one after another. So, going to hop into episode 8 now, which is a similar Zerg vs Protoss, but slightly different because it's on Ohana instead of a Forspawn map, which I can't remember the name of. And I use a slightly different tactic in the early and mid game. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in episode 8.